bring in our guests who are joining us on this broadcast as well. We have spokesperson of the BJP, Anuja Kapur, and we also have left supporter Vivek Srivastava. Good to have both of you on the broadcast with us. Vivek, let me begin with you first. Ever since we saw what played out in Khargone and then the subsequent bulldozer politics, as it's now being called, a lot of critics slammed the government, saying that whatever transpired that day was actually a reaction to what played out. It was spontaneous, it was not pre-planned. But the new set of visuals that we've accessed right here as well, and these are of CCTV footages and cameras that have now been put together, can that narrative still continue? How can you have crude bombs, swords, etc. as part of a quote-unquote spontaneous act?
I'll talk of two things in it. Number one, whether it was spontaneous or not spontaneous, okay? Whenever you give some kind of a punishment to the people who are guilty of a particular crime, it has to go through the proper channels, you know?
Vivek, that's why I said I'll split this into two parts. I'll get to the bulldozer politics in just a bit, but talk to me about this entire narrative that this was spontaneous. How is this spontaneous? You have swords, you have crude bombs. How was all of this conveniently just ready?
No, it was not spontaneous. It was well planned by the BJP, RSS and the Hindutva crowd, because economically you are going for bankruptcy. Sri Lanka has borrowed 95% of the GDP and it's already gone, and you are almost on the verge because you have 83% of your GDP already aapne loan le chuke hain. So your country is already going onto the wrong side. महंगाई बढ़ रही है. To get out of this narrative, a new narrative was needed, and what the government of India has done is they have started this whole business right from Karoli to Gujarat to UP to everywhere. They are starting up this Ram Navami versus Ramzan kind of a politics, and the only motive is to divert the attention of the people. So it was well planned, but it was well planned from the side of the RSS and to whom this suits. If there is a polarization, if there are riots, if there is violence, if there is Hanuman Chalisa versus Azan.
What are you saying, Vivek? Who was part of this Ram Navami procession? How does this suit if you're saying this works for the BJP's narrative? Talk about that boy who's still battling for his life. What was his fault?
See. 16-year-old boy, his mama is one of the priests in a particular temple. If you start sending your children, I have my best wishes for that boy to recover. Everybody is sad, everybody is bothered. We are not cruel people, but let me understand, where is this Hindutva brigade taking the country? और छोटे-छोटे बच्चों को आप रिक्रूट कर रहे हैं, छोटे-छोटे बच्चों को आप 16 साल के बच्चों को रिक्रूट कर रहे हैं आप.
Was that boy pelting stones, or was he a victim of pelting stones? That's the question that I'm asking. But stay on with us. Anuja Kapur, I want to bring you in as well. While, of course, critics continue to slam the move of what really transpired that day, the Chief Minister is very, very clear that this needs to be set as an example. But there are many and many advocates, lawyers, ex-cops, all are now questioning this entire move, saying, was this even legal? Was this even allowed? As far as the bulldozer, move was concerned.
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to tell to Mr. Vivek that I think he was not apprised with what he has to speak. He was being given a data to speak on, and maybe by Digvijay Singh to put his consent in front of all of you. And by saying that they have totally told by themselves and put them in stand that they were the ones who were involved in this and the crude bombings and all, because by saying that they are saying that they are standing with the victim of a 16-year-old, which shows that there was the propaganda done and agenda clearly of Congress. Congress is a failure. They cannot take care of their own state. And Digvijay ji is the one who they have appointed, who speaks rubbish. And rather, I think it is also funded from, outside also. So they wanted to disrupt the peace and harmony. They wanted to do this. And for that, bulldozer is the one thing which needs to be put up. And the investigation is already going on. And with that, the CM has also said that.
Anuja, the question here is simple. They were only accused till that point. Shouldn't have the state government waited till the time they were proven guilty before they went ahead with this bulldozer? That's the question, and that's the criticism.
The criticism is that why there is a kind of the side which has to be taken up by the BJP in putting the curfew and taking care of whatever the violence has been done, and they are taking a stand on it. This is the problem. This is the problem. The investigations have been done and they are being in the process, And that is why it is coming up in this form. The bulldozer thing is one way of telling the people in that state that whoever is involved in a communal rights trying to bring and painting the BJP and the Muslim community on that level and showing there is an intolerance in this Muslim community. I am saying it is wrong. They are trying to paint the Muslim community. They're trying to paint the BJP.
See, Anuja, I wasn't even getting
that
into the
we
religion
have-
aspect of it. I don't want to get into this Hindu and Muslim. My question is simple, and that's the criticism, is why are there courts in the country? Why is there a law? If the state governments
Everybody
can go
speak
ahead.
on anything. Everybody can speak on anything. Whenever there is a problem, we will do something. They will speak. We won't do anything. They will speak. Now we have put a curfew. They will speak. Then if we will leave the curfew, we'll give a little bit of ease. They will speak. They have a problem in everything. So when they are there in their own state, they can't help it. They can't do anything. And that is the problem. We are taking care. We are being vigilant. And we are seeing what are the things. You think the bulldozer thing just came up like this? No, it has been come up under some kind of an investigation, and it has been taking the note of this, that who are the people who have been illegally, the houses have been made, and the illegal issues have been brought up.
While I agree with
is
Anuja
where the
that
pelting
yes,
of the stones
anybody
has
who is
already been
behind
there,
the stone
and you
pelting
have
needs to
also
be taken to task, and an example needs to be
and
set up.
121
Vivek Srivastava, the
people
question
have
is,
been
for how long can you defend these rioters and these stone pelters hiding behind these masks on their faces? On day one itself, many came on TV news channels and said this was spontaneous. I find it extremely difficult to understand how were swords, crude bombs and other weapons so conveniently just available to carry out this quote-unquote spontaneous attack. Until when can we actually justify this?
Sure. Give me please 20 or 30 seconds and I'll explain everything. Point number one, I'll take 5 seconds. We don't need the courts anymore because the BJP has decided uske baithe hue police constable or SHO police thane mein, they will decide who's guilty, they will decide the saza, they will implement the saza, and you don't need the courts anymore, you don't need the lawyers anymore, and you do not need law schools anymore, so kindly close them. Number
सर,
two,
हम आपकी तरह कांग्रेस की पार्टी नहीं है विवेक जी. हम लोग काम
Okay,
करते हैं.
Anuja, let him
reality को
respond.
दिखाते
Let him
भी हैं.
respond. Let him
और there
respond.
is- No, he
Yes,
he was
Anuja,
also,
I will give you a fair chance to respond, but let him finish his point. Vivek, quickly.
Modi Saab ke rule mein now we don't need courts at all. It is a constable, it's an SHO, it is an IO sitting in a police station who will decide who is guilty, kaun guilty hai, and what is the punishment.
Vivek, why
and
aren't
he
you
will
answering
also
my
implement the
question? I
punishment.
am saying, how was
तो
all
वही
of
तो हम
these
बता रहे हैं
weaponry
आपको.
conveniently available as part of a spontaneous attack? This wasn't spontaneous. This was, of course, pre-planned.
Now, when you go and decorate masjids, put Bhagwa flags on them, okay? You start your DJ music.
Bhagwa
you start the
flag
music.
and that video you have started, not us. You are showing us videos which are a decade back. You are trying to again paint the BJP in a wrong way. And please don't disrupt the peace again. We have been telling you, Ram Navami and Ramzan goes hand in hand every year.
One sec.
Don't try to push
Anuja,
yourself and
Anuja,
try to
one
make
sec.
it communal.
Vivek,
You guys have done it.
I wasn't
And what
even,
was the
I
agenda
wasn't even
of
getting
Digvijay
that
Singh?
video. In
How
one,
is-
on
how
one
is-
hand, you have
how is
Digvijay
Digvijay
saying
involved
he
in
tweets
this?
a fake video, then he deletes it and says, okay, if this was
How
fake,
is
I've
Digvijay
taken it
involved in
back.
this? Ask
My
him.
question is just clear. Anuja, 1 second. Let's just try and have this in a civilized fashion. My question is simple. Many came forward and said this was spontaneous. Just answer that question. How was this spontaneous when you have crude bombs, weapons and swords conveniently available? This was obviously pre-planned.
People are scared. Minorities are scared. The Muslims are scared. India is an intolerant country.
So you're
And the
accepting this
Honorable
was
Prime Minister-
pre-planned, right?
No, it's not
You
pre-planned.
think
It's
India
not
is an
pre-planned. It's a
intolerant
spontaneous-
country? Please go to Pakistan. You have a friend out there. Go there. Your Mr. Sidhu goes. Your Mr. Sidhu goes there. You go there. Go there because he is the one who goes and hugs the Pakistan Prime Minister. Now please go there. Okay, don't tell India is intolerant. India has a lot of tolerance. We are sitting here because of this only. We are one family. We are
Okay.
one nationalist party. We
Okay.
don't talk on your terms. Congress is
Okay.
nowhere inside. So don't tell us. And
Okay.
don't guide us.
Anuja,
We have been doing
Anuja,
very
I'm
well
going to give...
in the case of
Okay.
the
Anuja, 1 second.
diversity
I'll
and
request you to
diversity.
stay calm.